Welcome to another episode of On the Clock. We're here with your hosts, Raul Lezcano and Jorge Martinez. You're on the clock.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us again for another episode of On the Clock. On today's agenda, we have a great, exciting agenda for you today. We are going to talk to my guy, Jaden Pask, is going to join the show from Jesuit over at Davidson. Pretty pumped to talk to him. Also on the agenda, we got some NASCAR. We're going to talk a little about the recent events that happened there. We're going to talk a little bit about the best receiving duo in the league. And then also on the clock today, this week, we have also fantasy football leagues in the kickoff for us here. We look forward to you joining the show. Thanks for coming with us.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about this, man.
Our first topic, we're going to get into it pretty quick here. NASCAR comes out. There's an investigation that was done around Bubba Wallace and Raul. I know you've been following this a lot. What exactly happened? What was the investigation about, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so over at, I believe I think it's Talladega, they went ahead and bringing in their cars and storing their stuff, and then spotted a noose. And I guess one of the members on the crew of Bubba Wallace spotted the noose, spotted the rope in question, and reported to NASCAR. Bubba Wallace never reported it. He never was involved in that aspect of it. Under investigation of the FBI, which 15 to 16 or something like that, FBI agents went out to investigate what happened. Through their investigation, they find out that this rope has been there since 6 months ago. All right, now this piece of rope is shaped just like a noose. If you haven't seen this, it looks just like a noose. The excuse that has been given is that this is a garage door puller to pull down the garage door. Okay, that's awesome. It's still a freaking noose. Like, who in their right mind said, I'm going to pull down the garage door and shape my rope into a noose? Into a noose. It's still a noose. So who was that guy? Like what are you doing? Like, why can't you just grab a stick or something to pull down the door? You know what I mean? That's what should have been done. I don't understand why it's in the shape of a right.
We're in 2020. There should be a chain.
With
just
a pulley
it's like a traditional garage door closer. You have a chain. So do you think investigation? So FBI conducted his investigation and determined that there was no wrongdoing.
Right. There's no hate crime or nothing. Yeah.
There's no hate crime. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah, but I don't believe it.
What are your thoughts about that?
I don't believe it one bit. I mean, you could tell me it's a garage door puller. I have a lot of friends that have garage doors. I've never seen somebody tie up a noose to pull down the damn garage door. I've been in the military. I've seen great big bay doors that we had. They had chains, and we pulled those doors down. I've never had to make a noose or a knot, sling up a freaking rope to the top of a garage door and pull down the garage door, and then take it off and leave it laying on a table. That's what I can't comprehend. You know what I mean?
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. So that's what happened in NASCAR.
And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing too that I'm bringing up about that.
Yeah.
How many other garages have a noose also?
Is this the normal?
Because the one thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me is it was only one garage. There's
one door
over
that
40
just
cars
not to work.
There's over 40 cars that are there for a race. Usually 40, 45 cars that usually make qualifying.
Right.
You're telling me one garage door has it?
And we're hosting NASCAR.
Happens to be Bubba Wallace.
Right.
And it's not a hate crime?
Right. And again,
that doesn't make any sense.
This isn't a race with charity. You know, we're not doing a charity boxcar race, all right, or golf carts. This is NASCAR's coming to your track to utilize. Your door's been broken for 6 months. Like, I don't believe that. I mean, you didn't get this fixed or nothing like that. And again, who's the guy that says, hey man, I'll pull down that door. Here's a good idea. Let's get this rope that I have, which I don't know who owns freaking rope, and then just go get rope. But we're going to go get this rope, and we're going to tie it in a noose. And what we're going to do is we're going to swing it around, and we're going to throw it up to the top of the freaking garage, and we're going to pull down that door. That's what we're going to do.
And then we're going to leave it there.
And we're going to leave it there
never
for 6
fix
months.
it again.
Right. Nobody's going to put in a ticket.
And then we're going to assign that garage to Bubba Wallace.
Exactly. Nobody's going to do a custodial review of the place. Nobody did a walk around
during COVID-19.
Right, we did shut down. Nobody did a walk around. Nobody sanitized the freaking place. But yet there's a rope laying on the bench of a tool bench, and it's a noose. Yeah, I don't care what you call it. It's a noose. All right. So I did see the mass walk. They walked out Bubba Wallace's car. I'm telling you right now, that gave me goosebumps. I haven't seen Mr. Petty come out to a race for years. I haven't seen him come out there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen him. He thought it was a big deal. And again, he's 82 years old. So COVID affects him more than it would affect me or you or anybody else that younger than his age. So to see him come out, give him a hug, I mean, that was awesome to see that, especially when they removed all the Confederate flags and stuff, and everybody's supporting Bubba Wallace. I just don't think it was a garage door puller. I really don't, man. Also, your boy Brady was spotted throwing a couple passes, man. Did you check that out?
I did. Even though the NFLPA came out and said, don't do anything outside, kind of eliminate those kind of things. Brady was seen. A couple players were out there with him. About 10, 15 of them were out there throwing the ball with him. First of all,
it did look good. I ain't gonna lie to you. That did look good. But what I was gonna say to you was, do you know that I believe the two of the Bucks, was it 2 or 3, had COVID? So to see him outside throwing, that's pretty determined that he's gonna have a great season, huh?
I mean, are you surprised? It's Tom Brady. The guy wants to win.
I'm not surprised.
He has a chance to host his first Super Bowl at home.
You keep mentioning, you're advertising the crap out of that. You love that. You love that.
But no, I'm excited to see him. Chris Godwin, I saw pictures of Chris Godwin was out there. Rob Gronkowski was out there as well.
I saw pictures of your boy Brady. He lost some weight, man. That Florida sun got him some pounds. Thin. Yeah, he's a couple pounds thin, buddy.
Yeah, he's definitely dropping some weight out there in that Florida Tampa heat. It's just been a hot one all week. I know for us here at practice this week in the morning, we've been big boy's been feeling it. It's been a little sweaty. Yeah, man. And speaking of sports around Tampa, along with Tom Brady, a couple of sports teams and youth teams and high schools have called it quit early, man. A couple of them said, you know what, we're going to shut down for the 2020 season. Yeah, and I'm a little surprised, to be honest with that, because I expected maybe those things to happen later. I think it's still too soon. I think most leagues, so think about youth, most leagues don't really get going till after July 4th. True. After the holidays, kind of where things really pick up a little bit. We're still about 2 weeks away from that. And then also locally, so a high school had canceled their season as well as a private school. They canceled their season. Yeah. Again, a little early. Usually high school kids kind of go in the last week of July. To see people kind of pull the plug a little early, I'm a little surprised. But I'm interested in seeing if that sets a trend. I think it does. When you know how this works, man. Once one school does it, or a college or something, then it kind of just trickles down all the way to the youth league, man. So I'm interested too. I do agree with you. It's a little bit early to call it, but I can understand why. These numbers, these spikes are pretty high. And again, football players, well, mostly coaches are superstitious how they start the season, right? If it doesn't start the same way as it did every year or something like that, they kind of like, oh my God, this is not going to be a great year. So with this COVID thing already happening, I wonder if they just like, you know what, let's just call it quits because there's too many rules. Because there is a lot of rules when youth sports and in high school to how you can manage your practice. And I've heard from a lot of coaches, different types of coaches from here in the local area, that they just don't like what's going on. They don't really like the fact that they have all these rules. You know what I mean? So calling it early, maybe it's just an early precaution, but better safe than sorry. I mean, I can understand why. So what happens in the event, I'm pushing the clock here, what happens in the event there is a season? And high school football does play and youth does play. Does that end a program? No, I don't think because you called it quits. Your kids are going to leave. I think the parents are a little bit more appreciative, man. I mean, and it's gutsy. It is gutsy. It is pretty gutsy to say, you know what, I'm calling it early. So I know what you're saying, but man, I mean, like I said, I can't be mad at a program that decides to be safe. You know what I mean? Like I can't get mad at that coach, that president, if they decide, hey, you know what, this is not a right time. This is not what we're working about. We don't want to do this. I can't be mad at them for being safe, even if there is a season. There's going to be, there's going to be those knuckleheads that, online, Facebook, that like to be in those Jerry Springer groups that sit there and say, oh, they're going to make fun of them and all that stuff. But again, I think they're going to be fine. I don't think that ends a program. Yeah, and I've been looking at it too, and this is now the third time I hear something, and once you hear one thing, you kind of look, you raise your eyebrow. 2, you start doing a little research. 3 times, now you started listening to it closely. And I've been hearing a lot around the fact that they may even push fall sports into spring. Right. And I know I mentioned that earlier in one of our podcasts. It's kind of an idea to still have a season. Now I'm starting to hear reporters, I'm starting to hear media outlets talk a lot about, hey, maybe it's best that we push all fall sports into January and have a 2021 fall sports, but in the spring. I mean, you got to have some for those seniors, man. This is a bad bid for the 2020 football players or graduates that got to miss their graduation and prom and things like that. It's a bad bid for the 2021 guys, man, that want to have a football season, but you got to salvage something to get these guys on film to get to colleges. I really think there's going to be a super increase
in D3, D2 schools. You know what I mean? Because D1s, if they don't have film, they don't have that much exposure on you, they're not really going to take a chance on you if they don't have nothing to watch. So they're going to probably want to go ahead and say, okay, let me not take a chance on these guys. Let's just take the guys that committed to us and let's move on. D2, D3, there might be a super increase of stud athletes that join there. And then later on, when everything calms down a year later or whatever, they can hit the portal and then leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's for sure is going to be the case. I think colleges are also going to look more in the JUCO ranks,
right,
and pull some kids there because at least now they play college. There's college film on them, especially if there's relationship built. I mean, I think about our guy, Will McDonald, over there in Miami with his JUCO school there. I'm pretty sure he's being hit up for dudes all the time. So that's going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out and how that rolls into these times we're in right now.
Yeah, man, because don't get me wrong, I want to have a season, especially an NFL season. You know how much I love doing these comparisons and things. You know, like, for instance, you know, word around the league, right? Who's the best wide receiver duo going into the 2020 season? Like, there were so many trades, so many pickups. I would love to see these duos now, right? Especially for you. Like you got your Tom Brady and your Bucks.
There's no question who the top duo is. It's an end of argument immediately when the conversation starts. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin are number one, clear board, across the board, no questions.
Is that number wise, or are we talking from your heart? We're talking from your heart, or we got stats
both.
Here? Oh my God.
We got both. So as you mentioned, stats. You know I'm a stats guy. I like to reference that all the time.
I know you do.
How many times have you in the recent, 20 years, seen two 1,000-yard receivers play on the same team?
On the same team? Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I mean, the last time, let's see. Last time would probably be, Packers when they had Favre, right? When they had Sharp in them, or when I think Moss and Carter. I don't know, man. That's a good question. These two guys
go
definitely
back a little bit. You think about Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt,
right? And Mr. Mike Fury, my guy. Remember my guy? Yeah.
So he was there as well,
right?
And they had Jameis throwing him the ball.
Yeah, I remember.
So another thing too, they did a little comparison. So I'm gonna give you two receivers.
Okay.
Chris Godwin, Julio Jones.
Wow.
Who are you picking? If you're starting a team tomorrow,
bro,
and you're picking a receiver, who are you picking?
We're starting a team.
We're starting a team. This is your first receiver. You already picked quarterback. You pick offensive line.
What year Julio
receiver.
Jones? Am I getting 2020 Julio Jones, or am I getting the fresh from Alabama Julio Jones? Who am I getting?
Well, we're getting Julio from 3 years ago.
Julio Jones.
Same time Chris Godwin came out.
I'm going Julio Jones.
So
he's a monster.
Fun fact. Did you know Julio Jones and Chris Godwin are separated by less than 100 yards?
Ooh, what's the count?
So in that same time frame, so Julio Jones in the last 3 years has just under 3,000 yards.
Okay.
He's at about 40. My man Chris Godwin is at 2,700 yards in the first 3 years.
So he's 100 less than Julio?
Yeah, $140.
Wow.
$140 less than Julio in the same first 3 years. So Julio Jones, just over 20 touchdowns.
Right.
For his first 3 years. Chris Godwin, 17.
Wow. So he's doing
not that far off.
Yeah, it's
and think about it. Chris Godwin played with Mike Evans while Mike Evans was in his prime.
Right.
Because Mike Evans is still in his prime. When Julio Jones, 3 years ago, he was the only dude.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
give it to you.
There was. I mean, you had Manu Sanu that played with him a little bit during that time. You had some other receivers that played with him a little bit during that time. You had Calvin Ridley kind of joined the stage with them about a year ago.
Yep.
But as you really think about it, Julio Jones is a clear-cut number one. Yeah. Chris Godwin is second fiddle, technically second fiddle to Mike Evans.
So do you think he repeats these numbers with Tom Brady?
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. I'm going to say this again.
If not better. If not better, because here's what I'm going to say.
Really?
Yeah, because Brady loves to throw to that number two guy because Evans going to see a bunch of double coverage. If you're a DC, how do you stop Evans, Godwin, Gronk, and OJ?
But this is what I'm trying to say, man. Brady loves those guys. I think he's going to show them love. I really do. But Brady's a check down guy. He's going to show more love to the backs than he is those guys. And Brady's so complicated. I'm interested to see what the sheet of music that they're going to be on. I really am. And I don't know if he duplicates 1,000 each. I don't know if he duplicates that again.
I think it happens. I think it's short.
Man.
I think for sure. I think they're both get over 1,000 yards, and they're both close to 10 touchdowns apiece.
Man, that's going to be again.
Apiece.
It's Tom Brady.
Throws
He's
for
the GOAT.
5,000 yards.
Yeah, I got to see.
He throws for
it.
5,000 yards. And your check down question, comment you made earlier. Yeah. You become a check down machine when you ain't got no outside receiver to throw the ball to. New England. name 2 receivers that play on the outside for New England.
That he had.
Yes,
Man,
recently in the last 4 years.
When they were healthy, he had Amendola and freaking Edelman on there.
2 slot receivers.
Two slots.
And that's check down, right? That's over the middle. That's at middle curl. Find open grass.
They used to let Gronk up there wide.
Right. And how well did he do?
He did great.
Down the field.
Yeah, he did. He did great. And again, I'm not taking away from Tom Brady. I think you're going to have I think this is the most explosive offense he's ever had. I think you guys got to go pick up a running back. I think you do need to go pick up another back. You have a decent one there now. He's a good one.
I like Ronald Jones.
Ronald
Jones going to do well.
He does. He really does. I think you need to pick up one more for depth. I think you need to pick up one more seasoned guy for depth.
I agree with that.
But, I think this is the most explosive offense he had. Your defense wasn't horrible last year. They did a lot of good things. James put them in bad spots, right? So you would think, okay, experience comes in, and let's rock and roll. So I'm excited to see what happens to your team, because I tell you what, if you don't have a great season, we're going to be right here on the clock talking about all the bad things that's going on, and I want to hear all the excuses that you have to tell me, well,
no excuses.
This could happen because, while you mentioned Godwin, that in your division you have other duos in there that are doing just as good, right?
Out of the top 6, we got 3 of them in our own division.
Right.
We got Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders.
Exactly.
And then we also got, Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Man. So those are good duels in their own right. Now, those guys didn't get 1,000 yards each or whatever the case is, like your guys did. Jameis was a throwing machine, even though he threw, 266 a lot to the other team.
Right. Even though he threw all those picks. But, he was a throwing machine to those guys, and I think it had to do more with what those guys did after they caught the ball. You know what I mean? But you got those guys. You got Hopkins and Fitzgerald, right?
I'm excited to see that one.
I'm excited to see
that with the Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how that meshes all together.
I am too.
How he develops in his second year now, because with him being kind of a out the pocket kind of guy, moving the pocket, using a little more of the modern NFL with the read options and the RPOs. I'm interested in seeing how that works with Hopkins and Larry.
I am too. You also got freaking Landry and Odell over at Cleveland. Right now, Baker has had some sloppy. I don't think he's a bust. No, I'm not gonna say he's a bust yet. I think he's not in the best position to learn. I don't think he has a great quarterback coach to teach him. Okay, that's my opinion. But I do say this though: if nobody picks up Cam Newton, I'm gonna be upset. But I think Cleveland should make a good push.
For sure they should.
They should make a great push to go get that guy, because Cleveland's defense wasn't horrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible like in past years. They definitely played tough and kept the ball game closer than for 3 or 4 quarters as much as they could possibly. I don't remember seeing Cleveland get blown completely out in games, but I do remember Baker, struggling a little bit to make those reads, and hopefully he learns another year. But I'd put Cam Newton right behind him, because as soon as he screws up, we're throwing big Cam, and now we're rolling.
Here's an unpopular opinion. I'm gonna give you an unpopular opinion here. Odell has no more than 800 yards this year receiving.
Okay.
Drivers doesn't get over 500.
What are we asking? You telling me that's what's going to happen?
Yep. That's unpopular, because everybody thinks Odell's going to have a great year.
Yeah.
Odell's going to do 1,200 yards, get his 12 touchdowns. Jarvis Landry is going to be another potential 1,000-yard receiver.
Right.
I don't think they come close.
That's true.
They come close.
That's true.
If anything, I think Baker Mayfield is your ultimate check down guy.
But that's because
he's
a young quarterback.
To the tight end. He's gonna be throwing the ball to those running backs out the backfield. I don't think. I feel bad for Odell. The guy got traded from the Giants over to the Browns. He went from bad to worse.
Well, Baker, I think he needs to learn. I think he does need to learn. I think you have a guy like Cam Newton to throw to him, it becomes a different story. Those numbers definitely increase. I think he can do it. But again, Baker needs to learn. So maybe they don't have those yards. Maybe they don't have them. I know over Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, right? We were talking about those guys. That's wide receiver duos.
With Jared Goff.
Yeah, with Jared Goff. I think that's going to be a good duo. What about Seattle?
They traded away Brandon Cooks
They did to Buffalo.
They traded away to Buffalo, so now that kind of opens the door for Cooper Kupp to kind of step in and take more of a predominant role.
Right, and I agree with that. So that you get a little bit more, looks, some more targets.
Yeah, but we got Jared Goff throwing him the ball.
Goff ain't a horrible quarterback. He was better when he had a running 15? Game. He had a better.
He's top 15.
He's top 15. He's top 15 quarterbacks right now. Absolutely. He just needs a running game. He needs a desperate running game because that's what helped him.
A lot of needs. A lot of needs for a top 15 quarterback to need.
Every great quarterback needs a great running back. Every quarterback had a great running back to help them propel their game. It has to happen. DJ Metcalf over at Seattle and Baldwin.
I like that one.
Lockett.
I would probably say Baldwin.
Okay.
More than I almost see that as a three-headed monster there.
Right.
With the three of those guys. Baldwin has injury concerns, can't really stay on the field, so I think that's why he's not really being considered as a top duo with Tyler Lockett. I think DK has a breakout year.
I do too.
I think that guy has a Terrell Owens kind of physique to him.
Yeah, man.
And he has great speed, great height, can catch the ball. And Russell Wilson, he's known to fall in love with the receiver.
Right. Right.
He loves Baldwin. He forces the ball to him quite a bit. That's his go-to guy. Lockett kind of took that over as the year went on when Baldwin was again injured. And I think DK becomes that guy for him this year.
DK for me, man, last year he did great, but he lost me a lot of points in fantasy because of the fact that he would fumble the ball. So I need him to hang on to the damn ball. That's what I really need him to. His arms are so damn big, and that ball looks like a small Tic Tac in his hands. You know what I'm saying? So, I need him to hang on to the ball. You know what I mean?
No, I completely agree with you. And talking about fantasy football,
yeah, man.
I'm gonna go back to my dude Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Right. So Godwin put up similar stats
right
to Julio last year.
You love comparing him to Julio.
Okay, but because Julio's one of the best.
He is.
So you compare him to one of the best. If you're going to compare somebody, might as well do it to someone that's doing it well in their board. Julio Jones is a top 10 player off the board.
Absolutely.
Chris Godwin is maybe a second, third round, depending on how many people you got in your league. Right. Maybe third round pick.
Right.
So value-wise for me, go ahead. Pick Julio.
Right.
Pick a guy that's going into his 9th, 10th year.
I'm
gonna get the guy going in his 4th year with the GOAT as his quarterback in the 3rd round.
And it's a good pick by the Bucs. It was a good pick to get him, man. It was a good look. They got a young, fast receiver that probably that receiver coach or whoever was battling for him in that room, that, you know what I'm saying, that draft room was sitting there saying
paid off.
Yeah, paid off. They really wanted him and then just kept praising him in the war room, saying, hey, we got another Julio Jones on our hands if we get this kid. So, that's good stuff.
The big thing coming out of college for Chris Godwin was the guy catches everything. And I've mentioned on the podcast before when we talked about, Bucks, and I think it was on our very first podcast with Tom Brady coming in, Tampa Brady coming in.
Right.
So there's only been 2 receivers in the league to have more than 75 catches, but yet only drop less than 1% of the balls thrown their way.
Who's this? This Godwin?
I bet you can name the first one. First one you can name.
It's Hopkins.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Who did what now?
Less than 1% of balls dropped.
Really? I would think with Hopkins.
Larry will break. Larry's going to break the record for balls caught versus drop passes.
Really?
Put it this way. Larry has more tackles on defense than he does drops in his career.
No, I didn't know that. I thought Hopkins was owning that record.
He's on there. He's not far off from it. But as far as less than 1% of drops, Larry Fitzgerald, guy behind him, Chris Godwin. Guy catches everything thrown to him.
He does, man. It's easy to catch 5-yard routes and slants.
I'm kidding. Jamie doesn't believe in 5-yard routes.
He stretches the field.
He only believes in 65-yard blind throws in double coverage.
He does, man.
Saying, Chris, please help me.
See, George, you make a great point, man. With all these stats that we're talking about, with all these numbers and great players, this is why I'm excited to announce, man. Here we go. You ready for this, George?
I'm ready. Let them know.
Listeners, here you go. FanStreamSports.com is going to have their own fantasy football league. Me and George, we're going to battle out with Sports Caffeine. We're going to battle out with some of the other people. Set the sails. We're going to set it off with Ballistics. We're going to go ahead and get on with these guys and do fantasy football, but we want you also to join us as well. We want to have some one-on-one time with the listeners. FanStreamSports.com. We also here at On The Clock, we're going to do it as well. We're going to go ahead and do our own fantasy league separate from FanStreamSports.com. We're going to do it here. We want you to join us, okay?
So if you're interested in joining with the league, you can find us on Twitter by searching On The Clock Radio. Find us on Instagram, searching On The Clock Radio. Send us an email, ontheclock20 @gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook by finding us at On the Clock Radio. Send us a message. If you're friends of ours, shoot us a text if you want to join.
Yeah, man.
And we'd love to have you there and battle out with us and have a good time. There's gonna be prizes. It's gonna be trophies. It's gonna be a blast. I'm excited for it.
It's gonna be a movie. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a movie.
It's gonna be a movie.
It's gonna be a movie. So if you feel like you can battle me and George head to head on this fantasy football, come see us. You can meet me on the 50. Line that S up. You understand me? And we get to go.
All right, on the other side of the break, we have a conversation with Jaden Pask. We were able to catch up with him earlier this week, see how he's doing and how he's doing over at Davidson. You're not going to want to miss that conversation on the other side of the break.
Hey, On the Clock fans, listen up. This is something that's exciting that's coming to you. It's going to change youth sports. You don't want to miss this. We have YSR, Changing Youth Sports and How You Search These Teams. It's going to be launching July 4th. You don't want to miss this.
Again, save the website, ysrusa.com. You'll be able to plug in your zip code, find organizations in your local area. Also, if you're a private coach and want to get listed, visit them at ysrusa.com. They're going to be the official Yelp of youth sports. You're on the clock.
But arenas, shoot my shot, I'm still with the demons. Ooh, I keep it thorough. I got 5 chicks in New York, that means one in each borough. I'm in the pocket like bro.
All right, so next up on the show here, I got one of my favorite players of all time. We have with us Mr. Jaden Pask. Joins the show. How you doing, man?
What's up, Jaden?
Good, Coach. Good. How are you?
Good, man. So for those that don't know Jaden, of course, if you played football, you got to know who this kid is because he was preventing your offense from doing anything, especially in Little League over at Jesuit. This young man played over at the Town and Country Packers here locally. Played also for the West Chase Colts. Shout out those two organizations for developing a great student athlete. And then he killed it over at Jesuit. I know when I first met you, Jaden, you were, I think, 8 years old, 9 years old with the Packers. Played middle linebacker.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Even a little bit of center. Whatever
the team needed, man. This kid definitely did. And then we ended up playing against each other. So I'll never forget. I'm with the Chiefs. You're over there with the Colts, and it felt like it was an entire game. But he had a series. There was like 6 plays in a row. He made a tackle 3 yards in the backfield. 6 yards in the backfield. We couldn't stop him. We couldn't stop him. Could not stop him. I tried to cut him. He jumped over a kid. I tried to double team him.
I think I remember that play, actually.
Tried to cut him. Didn't work. Tried to double team. He just run through the kids. It was like it was a man playing with a bunch of little kids.
Right.
That's all it was.
So we should have checked his birth certificate is what should have happened.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And then got the opportunity. I was game playing against him in high school. So here we are. I think it was 2 years ago now. It's a regional semifinal game. It's Jesuit, Jefferson, old rivalry.
Yep.
And, I'm watching film, and I knew he played there. And I'm like, man, 22. This kid just keep making plays. I go, I think that's Pask. That has to be him. I go on to Max Preps, scroll down, start looking for the number. I go, oh, there he is. No, it's making doing the same thing he was in Little League.
Yeah. It's just history repeating itself over and over again.
So that week, I'm telling my quarterback Tyler Thomas, find 22 and go the other way. Wow. Wherever 22 is, let's go the other way.
He's all over us.
And then I remember Jesuit started moving him around. He'd be on the right side. And then they flip him over to the left side, and they kept trying to play that game. So, growing up, I'm really close to your pops, really close to your family. What does it mean to you to have, that military background and your dad served? Thank you for your dad's service and everything that he's done. Talk a little about, the role he's played with you and your mom, because your mom spent a lot of time, raising you guys alone as your dad was taking care of the country and everything. So talk a little bit about that relationship and how that's kind of influenced you to be the man you are today.
Yeah, with my dad being in the military, it's always been, hard knocks, not only just football, but just life in general. Not only is he in the military, but, he's a police officer as well. So, 24/7, just getting molded, by the military codes, by the, police department codes and stuff like that. But also with just a bunch of love. He's, my best friend. He's the guy that I look up to with everything. He's the guy that I take, every time in high school, he'd always be like, he goes, I know your coaches are going to tell you something, but, I'm always going to be right behind you telling, what you need to know. And, because I know you, obviously you're my son. But yeah, I can't, thank him enough for all that he's done. Even in times like where he was gone, I think my junior year, he was gone, and he had my huddle, and he was still able to coach me from all the way up in Africa. But yeah, he's a great dude. It taught me a lot of life lessons. Even since the Packers. I know you say that you had to check my birth certificate, but I was always the smallest kid. I was always not the fastest. I'd always do my job, but the one thing that he always told you is you got to always play with some swag. You always got to show the other team that you're not just this little kid, that you have a lot of fight in you. You got to play with heart, and that's the one thing that I think that he's taught me growing up, is that if you have heart, you can do anything, especially in the game. So yeah, I think him. I'm blessed to have him as a dad. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Growing up, seeing your pops and just seeing the relation you guys have I've always said, it's a very special relationship that you guys have on and off the field, and the love you guys have for Chinga School. That year he was away, your junior year, still watching your huddle film, giving you feedback, giving you tips. So, I watched a lot of your film, scouting you and just watching your highlights. And I've seen you take a punt off a kid's leg and block a punt and literally catch it in your stomach and score. Everybody's like, where's the ball? And he's in the end zone. He's in the end zone already. When you think about your senior year, I know it's a long time ago now, but I've been about a year. But you think about your senior year of high school, what was your favorite play, your most memorable play that you kind of recall? You're like, man, that's what I'm going to tell my friends when I'm sitting around with my kids and they're, because like back in the days, what your pops used to do. But what was your favorite high school play?
I think, and of course, just because it was a rivalry versus TC, it's always a big game, a lot of hype. Everyone, all the stands are getting into it. And it was the one play, I think, I don't remember what quarter it was in, but Bussy was coming on a motion. And obviously Bussy's at NDSU right now, balling out, like literally had 2 touches for, 2 touchdowns in that one game, like insane. We always were scouting him out and see what he'd do, but he went in motion and I was coming off the edge. And as soon as he got the ball, I just, literally picked him up and literally tackled him for like a 5-yard loss. And I think it was on a 3rd down too. It was a really, pivotal point of the game. And it was so hype. Like that's definitely the one play that it's the first one on my huddle. Like it's like the one play that I have pride and joy about, because it was just, really good running back. And I was able to, hit him pretty hard. And I always talk about him like, hey, Bussy. I was like, how hard did that feel? And he was like, bro, you put me on my butt, man. I didn't know what to do. So, yeah, I think
that was a big play, for especially being a 3rd down. And you're right. It was a 3rd down and short. It wasn't long. They were trying to get him out to the edge. And you came off the edge and man met man, and another man won that day. So definitely kudos to you there. And going through your high school recruitment, you had a lot of schools, especially with the grades, SAT scores. You guys have always been big around the grades first. The student in front of the athlete, always. So talk a little bit about why you chose to go to Davidson. What does Davidson mean to you, and why'd you make that decision to go there?
Going into my senior year, I didn't really have a lot of looks. I had a couple, D2, D3 offers. The division really doesn't matter anything for me. It's about, where I would fit and where the school, how good the school is. But, when Davidson reached out to me, it was, all love, just right out the gates. The first call that I had with that recruiter, it was, as if I knew that dude for forever. And I'm a big, family type team, or family, bond that, the teammates share, that the coaches share. So when when he first reached out to me and that whole, communication kept going on, that was, the big thing that stuck out to me, was how much of a family, Davidson actually is. I mean, their logo, or their, motto with WE, we is like win everything with everyone, win everywhere. So it's a big family unit. And then also just, like you said, my, grades are number one, especially with my dad. He likes to harp on, being the best in school. So Davidson's, the 12th best private school in the nation. So that obviously caught my eye. And then just the location in general. I think North Carolina is probably, besides Florida, obviously I lived in Florida for all my life, but I think if there's one place that I could go live is North Carolina. The weather's beautiful. You have all 4 seasons. I mean, I've seen snow for the first time. It was, it was a great choice that I made. Which is crazy. Florida boys seeing snow. I didn't know what it was. I was taking pictures, FaceTime with my mom, all that. But yeah, I think it was a combination of, just the school being so great. The football program, I mean, it was on the rise. I mean, before our coach Scott Abel got there. I mean, they were like not above a 500 team at all. Like they were going 2-7, barely winning a game. And then, our coach came in and literally flipped the entire program. Like came in, we went 6-5. And I saw that and was like, something's brewing up in, North Carolina. Something's going on. And so I just took that leap of faith and, they told me that I would have a really good shot of, participated and, helping the team out from the beginning. And, they didn't lie. That was another thing that, whatever the coaches told me, whatever, they were trying to tell me would happen, and it did. So they're being very honest. And, I really appreciate that. But yeah, man, just, I'm blessed to have, received that opportunity, and I'm happy with my decision. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Man, that's awesome, man. Just hearing you speak and carry yourself, man. And I know the listeners can't see you, but I'm looking at you, man, and everything you talk about, I can see the conviction in your face, your eyes, and how much you enjoy it, man. I didn't get a chance to coach against you or anything like that, but I could tell, man, that Davidson's got a real gem over there, man. If you don't mind, how was your first year, man? How did that go? Was it exciting, weird, or what?
It was definitely, it was crazy. I mean, when going into it, I just wanted to make the travel team. That was my goal. Make the travel team, maybe special teams. But I go up there and, I'm the rotator. Like I'm going in, third quarter, second half when, we're killing teams because they can't stop our offense. But I'm going in there and I'm making plays. I had about, somewhere like 32 tackles or something like that the whole year. But it was exciting, man. Definitely nervous though. Cause I was a freshman going in with the big dogs. And, I think coming from Florida, it definitely helps. 813 is insanely talented. Florida in general is insanely talented. So I think, I was nervous, but at the same time, I knew that, I was prepared by all my coaches. And I was prepared just, physically wise for what I faced down here to go up there. But it was a dream come true. I remember putting on the pads for the first time and wearing that jersey and just being like, dang, like I made it. You know what I mean? All those people that told me that I couldn't make it, step by step, either whether it was going to, little league to high school, but now, high school to college, like I made it. Like I'm D1 now. Like it was definitely surreal. So yeah, it was a great time. It's crazy. It still blows my mind that I went past so fast.
Right.
But it was definitely a great time.
You said something there just now that you were saying that playing in Florida prepared you to play somewhere else. Is it because you think it's the type of competition or how it's so huge down here that kind of helped it propel you, or what do you think?
I think it's a combination of, the players for sure, but then also the coaching. Like I think Jesuit in general, I talk to kids all the time. I talked to Joe Hodge today and they're like, how did you guys get your defense to just shut everybody down? Like, and I was like, God, it's the game planning. Like we would literally, the things that I do now in college, I did in high school.
Oh, so it's like second nature now.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So obviously everyone's a lot bigger. Everyone's, the same speed. It's not like you have to worry about one person. It's like you have to worry about the whole offense now. But yeah, I think definitely the coaches, help. But also the players. You got to think the players that I played with in my class, I think 2019 had the most. It's insane how many kids either went D1 or went to play college football. At my school, Dane Belton, Larry Hodgins. You had Amarian Brown that I had to face against literally every single year because he was at TC or Jefferson.
Right.
And then you had, kids that it was crazy. All across Florida, you had kids that were just animals. And even kids above or below me. You had Jordan on last week. That dude's a dog. Play with him all throughout my, TYFL year. You have all these kids that, Jordan Aladokin, you have Chris Aladokin, you have Ray, like all these kids I played with, like it's insane. It's insane how much Florida is actually like it's top tier. Like I fight with everybody at Davidson. I'm like, Florida's the best. Like you can't even like tell me anything other than that.
We still have those battles down here too. We argue with coaches from Texas and stuff like, look, bro,
it's like
it's different over
California,
here, man.
Like it's so much different, bro. Florida football is legit. It's serious.
So what question or advice or more advice would you give, a kid that's in his junior year, senior year, that's going through that offer stage right now? And it's like, you know what? I'm not getting the looks. It's getting frustrating, right? Yeah. What advice do you give to that youngster to kind of keep his head down, keep the grind, trust his coaches? What is your advice to that young man that's in the same shoes maybe you were a couple of years ago?
It's just believe in yourself, man. Believe in your talents. Believe in, what you have to offer. Never, like I said, like I always got told that I was too small, too slow, never would have got there. But, I just push all that away and just, keep pushing. It's going to, there's going to be times, there's definitely times during that, recruiting process in general that I was just like, man, this is just not going how, I thought. Like, I know I'm good. I had over 100 tackles my senior year, like second team All-State. Like, I don't know why I'm not getting these looks, but everything, I think God has a plan for everybody. And, it fell into my lap. I wasn't even looking for it. Didn't even know what Davidson was before they came up to me. And, just kept pushing, kept grinding, kept, reaching out to coaches, and everything just kind of fell into place. So yeah, if I had one advice, it would just be keep pushing. Like, don't listen to everybody. Just know what you have to offer, know how talented that you are, and, just keep going.
That's awesome.
And then my follow-up is, okay, so now, kids got an offer, they've accepted, they're ready to make that jump and go into college. Talk about the college life and being a true student athlete, but now in a college atmosphere. How much difference is that, and what can a kid do to get himself mentally prepared to go up to college and play early on like you did?
Yeah, I mean, for one, just on the school side, it's all about time management. I think, because you have classes, and then you have meetings, and then you have practice. Like, you really, I mean, during my freshman year, I think I maybe had an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in between my last class and then practices or meetings. So I think it's just all time management, and, it's going to wear you out. You're going to be tired. You're going to be like, wow, why did I choose to do this? You know what I mean? Because it's just a grind. It's seriously, it's such a grind. And, but I think it's just, keep your head down and just keep pushing, and just always know that, you love the game of football, and just remember the love of the game. I mean, honestly, like, just always remember, like, I've played this game since I was 9 years old. I mean, even flag football at 4 when I wasn't even supposed to be playing. But I mean, just the love of the game.
That goes back to that birth certificate thing there, Jaden. That goes back to, no, I'm just kidding.
No, you're good. But just always remember the love of the game. Remember all the memories, the brotherhood, all that stuff, and just keep grinding, man. It's a grind. If it was easy, everybody would do it. You know what I mean? So you just know that you're the top 1% of all the kids that were in your class, all the kids that are below you, and just know that you made it, and that you don't want to fail at that. You want to keep pushing and keep going. So yeah, time management. Just understanding that, the rules have changed, and you got actually school first for real now, because you're in college, and just, keep it up, keep your love for the game, and keep your devotion.
That's great, man. I listen, man, George told me, he goes, hey, you're going to love having Jaden on, man. He's a guy's guy. You know what I mean? He's a man's man. So man, listen, I'm going to tell you what, man. I have never seen a Davidson. I'm going to be honest with you. I remember Davidson College being for Steph Curry and stuff like that.
Exactly.
That's what I remember for.
You're not the only one. I literally go, they're like, hey, man, where do you go to college? I'm like, yeah, I go to Davidson College up in North Carolina. And they give me that look, like that little hesitant, like, hold on a second, let me think about this. And then I just go, Steph Curry? Yeah, of course. Who doesn't know Steph Curry? It's his college. And they're like, oh, I know that.
The only reason I bring it up is because, like, I've been telling George, I've been writing names down, collecting numbers as far as the football number. And I told George, when this COVID thing's over and we're allowed back to the office and go, I'm gonna put all these jerseys up around there, man. So I just want you to know that I'm always impressed with all the kids that come on and all the young men that are in college doing their thing, man. I'm really proud of you. I want you to keep going. I'm gonna find me a Davidson College. I don't know where I'm gonna find it at, man. But I
don't even know where I'm gonna find it.
Right. If the coaches ask, man, if you can ask the coaches, hey, I got a coach down south that's gonna pay $200 for a jersey. Where do I get this jersey at for him or something? Let me know so I can put your jersey up, man.
I got you. And if anything, when I'm a senior, I'll buy my jersey and I'll hand it down.
Oh man, listen, man, with your autograph, because George is gonna wear this thing. I know George. George is gonna wear this thing when you're playing on Sundays. He's gonna be wearing this freaking thing. I know it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. What do you like to do when you're not playing football, though? Like when you're not, how do you relax and reset your mind? Because like you said, you got time management. I know you don't have that much time to do much, but I know you're home. You're back here in Tampa, so. What are some that you're looking forward to, like actually taking 5 minutes to do? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think it's, I mean, it might be cliche, but it's family for sure.
No, that's can never be cliche, man.
Exactly. I know, but it's, I think anytime that I have downtime, it's always either friends or family. Obviously family comes first, but just being able to, take my mind off it and realize, oh yeah, I'm a son, you know what I mean? I have a whole family, football takes up a lot, school takes a lot, but
right.
With this whole COVID thing and coming down, I've been able to hang out with my dad a lot more. I've been able to see my brother play baseball. Like, I wasn't able to do that when I was up there. So I think just sitting down and just, having family dinners and, going to see my cousins that are getting older and older, seeing my uncles and my aunts that I'm really close to because we have a really tight-knit family.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing is just when I have time, it's, reconnect with family, spend time with them. And it brings me down to ground zero.
Do you have time to work out at least? You finding time? Still do the weights?
Yes, sir. We have we just got a gym installed. I mean, it's not really a gym. It's more of just a bench press and stuff like that. But
bro, I got literally 3 dumbbells, and I call the garage my gym. So you're fine.
Exactly. Oh yeah, my garage is the gym all day, every day.
Right.
But with the whole COVID thing, obviously I went to a park before we got it. I was doing like pull-ups on monkey bars and just running around, and then we got the gym set up. So I've been able to, keep my ground up, get stronger, even with all this stuff. So
that's
yeah,
good.
I've been able to hit the weights.
The great ones always find a way, man. So what are you going to school for now?
I'm still undeclared, but I'm probably going to take the econ route. Because private with liberal arts school, it's there's core things you get into. It's not necessarily like you can go business and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to do the econ route because my dream is to be a sports agent. Since I've been in the game for so long, all I know is sports. So I think with all the kids that I know, I mean Dane Belton is without a doubt. I have no doubts he'll be in the NFL. So all these kids that I know that I'm really close with, to be able to provide for them and help them out. I think that's what I'm looking towards, but we'll always see stuff changes. But that's my main thing.
Do not shoot yourself short. You're going to be getting drafted
in the
NFL
alongside
with
that
them.
Happens. Everyone says that I'm not going to reach the next step, so maybe I can prove them wrong once more.
The next thing we like to do on the show here, Jaden, is we like to play a little game with every athlete that we bring on.
All right, I'm competitive now.
So
we love it. That's what we love. That's what we love.
It's a series of questions. We're going to ask you to pick between this or that, and we're going to go through them all, and some will be going to be a little outside the box.
All right.
So it's definitely a good time we have with this. So the first one I'm going to ask you is, all right, when you get dressed in the morning,
okay,
do you go sock, then your shoe, sock, then your shoe, or you put both socks on, then your shoes?
Oh, both socks on, 100%.
Okay,
first,
good.
And then the shoes.
I knew it.
So this is gonna be weirder to ask, okay? Because he asked me this question, but he didn't ask it that way. All right, so you got a PG version of that question, okay? He literally asked me, he's like, listen, man, after you take a shower and you've put on your underwear, do you put your pants on and then your socks, or you put your socks on and then your pants? So I answered like a psychopath, and I was like, bro, I put my socks on, then my pants. He's like, why?
Hey, that's not psychopath. I do the same thing.
Oh, okay. See, I was like, bro, my feet are wet. I just cleaned them. I don't want anything on my feet.
Man. They're cold. Air conditioning out here cold.
Right. Okay, good. So I don't feel bad. Good.
All right. The next one I have, Samsung or iPhone?
iPhone. Samsung's too complicated.
Do you see what I'm talking about, George? So here's another thing. I told him nobody that's organized, that has time management. Nobody has a Samsung.
Yeah, you can't. You know how many boxes you got to click to get to one app? You know what I mean? My dad has a Samsung. I always look at him. He's like, dude, he always grabs my iPhone. He's like, this is too complicated. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Literally, I have to go 4 buttons to look at the calendar, Dad. Yeah. Where's the calendar? I don't know what day it is.
Yeah. And there's like 17 pages. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on.
I'm starting to think this may be an older generation thing, because when we had Jordan on last week, he said the same thing about his dad. Henry has an Android phone.
Right.
Yeah.
And now
Coach Aladoki, yes, sir.
I don't know what it is.
It's crazy to me. All right. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Why? It has 2 sides.
I like this kid,
but the way you eat it is up and down. You know what I mean? You don't turn it sideways.
Oh, you don't turn it sideways.
What do you mean up and down?
You know what I mean? Like it's like the bread and then the hot dog's on top of it.
Do not describe that. Again, the listeners can't see you. Don't do that anymore. Don't do that. No.
Honestly, I don't know why. That was the best. You asked me why. I didn't know we were explaining it. I just
know it's not a sandwich. Yeah, it's not a sandwich.
Yeah, okay. It's not a sandwich.
Right. He set you up.
All right, so here's another one for you. You're at the basketball court.
Okay.
You make a shot. I give you $1 million. You miss a shot. You can never text anyone ever again. Do you take the shot?
All right. Can I Snapchat though?
Oh my
That's a
God.
valid question. That's a valid question. I'm gonna say
God.
no.
Oh my God.
No.
All right.
You still got IG, bro.
Oh, dude, I'm taking the shot then.
Okay, you still got IG. Because I said it to
taking that shot.
You got to take. I said it to the other guys.
I've been working on my basketball game since being back home, so I'll take my 3 shot any day.
Yeah,
my jump shot's fire. Yeah. I go to Davidson. Yeah, I go to Davidson. You know, I'm like Steph.
Yeah, gotta shoot the
learning
three.
some good.
Shoot the three.
Right, you gotta do it. Absolutely.
Instagram or Snapchat?
Instagram all day.
You know what? We had a kicker on, Andres Bogales. He was on going to Miami commit, and he said the same thing. He's like, I'm taking IG over Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'm never doing this. I'm never doing that again.
Snapchat's too much work. Too much work. I get lazy.
And for anybody that's a Snapchat advisor or marketing agent, just listen. These are his opinions. He still loves you guys. He still would like to do endorsements.
If you want to sponsor me,
I mean? I love Snapchat.
Name and likeness is happening now. I'll get that on there.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right, the last one we have for you.
All right.
Is a bowl of cereal.
Oh, here we go. Is it soup?
Yeah, bro.
Is it considered soup?
Nah.
Why?
Ain't soup. It's not even the same, like, you know what I mean? Milk and cereal or soup broth and noodles. It's not even. Yeah, and the temperature. You're going to eat a soup cold? I don't think soups are cold.
All of Dogan said the same thing. Jordan said the same thing. You don't heat up your cereal, you crazies.
Yeah, that's weirdo.
I felt like when we asked him that, I know Jordan hung up with us, was like, these two guys are warming up their cereal. these two old guys. Yeah, these two guys are drinking hot milk, wondering why their stomach is bubbling.
Shoot, and cereal gets soggy nonetheless. You're going to heat up some cereal, some milk. You're going to just
burst some Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's what we're going to do. I appreciate you, man. That was this and that with you, man, with Jaden Pask. Man, that's awesome, man. Yeah, man. You. What we need to do here is, and just so you know, whenever you get time, we might have to actually bring you in and actually do a whole podcast because you're hilarious, man.
Thank you, man. I need to join the business. I need to get in it.
You got a natural knack for this, man. I got to watch out for you in 4 years, man. That's good stuff.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
All right, so that's all the time we have today. Jaden, thank you again for joining, man. I appreciate you taking time out today to jump on with the show. Best of luck to Davidson. I can't wait till you guys get back to the grind and see you again on TV. I bought a subscription to ESPN Network so that I can watch you.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Online. But yeah, man, I love you, brother. Thank you for joining the show and thank you again.
Oh, no, thank you for having me, Coach. Love you, man.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we got today on the clock, fans. I want to thank Jaden Pask for coming on. It was a last-minute thing. We just jumped on recording wherever we were at. He jumped on with us on, I believe it was on Tuesday. He was such a trooper, man. Thank you for taking the time out. He was so busy with his schedule and visiting that I know it was a great show, and definitely one that I'm going to remember. And from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate him.
Yeah, I was pumped to have him. Also, one of my all-time favorite youngsters growing up. I'm excited to see him as he heads back to Davidson and catch a 2020 season for his sophomore campaign. Again, if you like today's podcast, go ahead and hit subscribe. You can find us on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, and other podcast stations by simply searching On The Clock. You can send us an email as well if you want to join the show, ontheclock20@gmail.com. And you can visit our website at fanstreamsports.com. Until next time, you're on the clock.